Playing the Assassin's Creed games over the past few years has been a hell of a lot of fun. Running through the streets of Rome, performing mischievous deeds for the sake of saving the world from the forces of evil unbeknownst to the public. These in and of themselves were fun to experience, but for me, what made the series great was the overarching story of Desmond Miles and the First Civilization. Released last week, Ubisoft released their latest entry in the series, viewed through the eyes of a new protagonist that gave us chilling conclusion to the epic tale. Note that this review will not cover the multiplayer due to time constraints and lack of interest.
Once upon a time, we had a ceremony on such occasions. But I don't think either of us are really the type for that. You've your tools and training, your targets and goals. And now you have your title. Welcome to the Brotherhood, Connor.
Leaping forward 200 years, Assassin's Creed 3 is played through the eyes of Connor Kenway, a half-Native American, half-British badass caught in the middle of the Revolutionary War. While the Americans struggled to gain their independence from Britain, they pushed to expand their lands into the Native American homelands, and of course, it would appear as though the Templars are behind it all. The story takes us through Connor's struggle to stop the Templars while dealing with the issues of his people, but it's so much more than that. The story is filled with lies, deceit, and plot twists that really got me thinking. As I played, I didn't know who to trust or what was going on, and just as I thought I came to a proper conclusion, I bear witness to opinions that really got me thinking about my own principles and values. The story starts off very slow, and the first few hours were incredibly boring, but once I began to learn how Connor became an assassin and what his actual goals were, things really took off. Along the way, Connor runs into the likes of historically significant Americans like Ben Franklin, Sam Adams, and George Washington, and takes part in events like the Boston Tea Party and Paul Revere's Run. It was neat to see how the story places the Assassins and Templars into the mix, and how they influence how the events transpired. I remember sitting in 8th grade history class thinking that these topics were so boring, but being able to actually participate in them, though pieces of fiction based on fact, was amazing. If our teachers today could find a way to utilize something like what Ubisoft has developed for us here, I think we've had a lot more kids interested in how the country was formed, but that's a bit off topic. Between memory sequences, Desmond works to open the temple vault that he's been seeking through the previous games. As to be expected by now, the ending was pretty crazy, and I found it to be a cool way to tell how religion controls and corrupts us as a people today. Being that the story takes place in 1700 continental America, the environments and art direction of the game are significantly different than the previous entries in the series. The graphics overall I felt were bland and dated, especially in the cities. Yes, they're probably the same quality as the previous games, but by this point in time I feel that they should be a lot better. Hopefully the PC version next month gets some higher resolution textures and a significantly higher draw distance. Luckily, the game takes place much of the time in the frontier as well, which, while still dated graphics, looks a lot better than the cities, especially during winter. Transitions between gameplay and cutscene were too harsh for my taste as well, which really drew me out of the experience. It seemed like every few seconds there was a bright white loading screen, followed by immense texture popping. So while the graphical presentation certainly did not impress me, I thought the soundtrack was amazing. The voice acting, on the other hand, was just meh, especially Connor. Aside from the presentation, the combat mechanics are quite fun. Connor has the same sweet assassin skills as his predecessors, but has a few new tricks up his sleeve. Having grown up in the frontier, Connor's able to climb and leap through trees with ease. He also has a few new Native American weapons at his disposal to create interesting new takedowns, including a tomahawk, bow and arrow, and rope dart. Connor is also adept in hunting the various wildlife in the frontier with traps, bait, and snares, and he can utilize his tracking skills to hunt perpetrators. Like the previous games, Connor will eventually recruit additional assassins to help the cause, but this time you can only recruit 6, each with their own playstyles, look and feel, characteristics, and unique abilities like luring guards or disguising as a prisoner escort. Instead of fixing up the cities themselves, Connor and mentor Achilles fix up and build their own township called Davenport, while they recruit settlers including blacksmiths, tailors, lumberjacks, and miners. Connor can do side quests for these people to grow the town and grant them the ability to produce goods for him. Unfortunately, the only really good item to come from this, though, is a marginally better sword that the blacksmith can craft for you late in the game after hours of monotonous side quests. There is a wealth of items and weapons that Connor has access to, but most of them are worthless. Inventory management is a huge pain in the ass. In fact, every single menu and user interface in the game sucks. It's difficult to do anything, from crafting and trading goods, to equipping gear and changing your outfit, to sending your assassins on missions. Even looking at the map is tedious at times. To me, it seems every UI in the game was simply tacked on and rushed to meet a deadline. Aside from the primary storyline, there is simply a ton of things to do in the game. Connor can participate in high seas battles in his own battleship, or take part in the tall tales of frontiersmen, all of which are quite entertaining. He can even search for hidden treasures, feathers, and almanac pages, though I found those to be annoying since they were so hard to catch and it didn't yield a reward for doing so. But this could simply be because the controls were so stiff or not well designed. The free run mechanic is useful and has been around the whole series, and in each game I've had problems with it. If I need to chase someone down, I shouldn't have to be flawless in the execution of the controls. It's annoying to chase someone down and then start running up a wall on accident and then be forced to restart because the perp got away. On top of this, there are QuickTime sequences scattered throughout that, as I've aged into my 30s now, I began to have trouble with, which caused death by cougar, bear, and wolf on more than one occasion. This could just be me being bitter that I don't have the reflexes I used to, but I feel it's important to point out things that would be annoying to those of us who aren't so young anymore. The game also locked up on me twice, forcing me to reboot the PS3. One quest bugged out on me several times, requiring an additional reboot, and the twin holsters in the game never worked. Having two pistols seemed like it would have been advantageous had the game actually let me have them. Basically, I'm saying the game is pretty glitchy as well. Assassin's Creed 3 took me roughly 30 hours to complete, including completion of a majority of the side quests and collection of most of the collectibles. Attempting to earn 100% synchronization would have taken several more hours, so I certainly can say I got my money's worth out of this title with the campaign alone. Throughout this review, I've mentioned a lot of negative things, and I stand by those comments. There are a lot of things that keep AC3 from being great. As it stands, I find the game to be just average or slightly better than that, but not good or great. The story and interactive learning that takes place were the best part of the game. The rest certainly needed more work. If you liked the previous Assassin's Creed games, you'll probably like this one too. It's not remarkable, but I played it, I had some fun. Check out the full write-up and screenshots over at ZeitgeistGameReview.com. Stay up to date by following me on Twitter and Facebook, and make sure to check out all of the other great gaming entertainment on the Game Station. Don't forget to subscribe and press the thumbs up button. Thanks for watching.